A while ago, Dabo Swinney was rumored to be going to Alabama, and we'll discuss that later. Now, they're even suggesting him at Auburn? What kind of illusion or delusion is that? Let's see the news. If you like the channel, support this idea by becoming a member, my fellow Bama fan. The idea of Dabo Swinney at Alabama, or even Auburn, is one of those narratives that makes any college football fan stop and think. It's like a game of chess, where each move can completely alter the board. But would that really be viable? Or are we talking about a romantic illusion created by analysts and nostalgic fans? First of all, let's be clear. Dabo Swinney is no longer the unbeatable coach who built an empire at Clemson in recent years. The Tigers' freefall this season is something that hasn't happened since 2009. Swinney is going through a critical moment, perhaps the lowest point of his career. He himself admitted this after the loss to Duke some time ago, a team that certainly isn't among the powerhouses of the sport. When a coach starts criticizing his own players on the sidelines and realizes they're simply ignoring his instructions, something bigger is wrong. It's not just about tactics or recruitment. It's about leadership. Now, imagine this scenario. 2 years ago, when Nick Saban decided to step back at Alabama, Swinney could have been the perfect name to take the throne in Tuscaloosa. He had everything the program needed: a legendary reputation, an impressive track record of quarterback development, Tajh Boyd, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and a deep connection to the state of Alabama, where he grew up and began his career as an assistant coach. It would be almost poetic, the prodigal son returning home, ready to continue Saban's legacy. But Swinney chose to stay at Clemson, embracing the culture he created and betting that he could maintain its success for longer. And here we are, seeing the results of that decision. What was once a well-oiled winning machine has turned into a car sputtering on the road. Clemson's recruiting classes, which used to consistently rank among the best in the country, began to decline. High-level players opted for other programs, while promising names like DJ Uiagalelei, Cade Klubnik, and Christopher Vizina failed to reach the expected level. Perhaps it was inevitable. Perhaps the natural cycle of college football finally caught up with Swinney, as it had with so many coaches before him. But what if he had gone to Alabama? This is where the conversation gets interesting. The Crimson Tide is a war machine unlike any other in the sport. While Clemson was molded in the image and likeness of Swinney, an extension of his vibrant and faith-filled personality, Alabama operates under a more industrialized model, with virtually unlimited resources and absurdly high expectations. Saban didn't just build a dynasty. He created a system that demands nothing less than perfection. Ask Jimbo Fisher, who ran out of Texas A&M to try and replace Saban and quickly realized the weight of the job was unsustainable. Swinney, on the other hand, is a coach whose leadership style has always been based on emotion, inspiration, and a holistic view of the sport. He's not cold and calculating like Saban. He's warm, approachable, and deeply human. This approach worked wonderfully at Clemson, but would it be enough to satisfy the insatiable demand for trophies and national championships in Tuscaloosa? There are reasonable doubts about that. As for Auburn, the idea seems even further from reality. Auburn is a school with tradition, yes, but also an institution that struggles to find consistency in football. Since their 2010 national title with Cam Newton, the Tigers have oscillated between highs and frustrating seasons. Bringing Swinney there would be like putting a diamond in a rusty safe. He deserves, and probably expects, something greater than that. So, we return to the central question. Should Dabo Swinney have left Clemson 2 years ago? Probably yes. He had the opportunity to leave on top, before the signs of decline became impossible to ignore. Now, he's stuck in a difficult situation, try to rebuild something that may never return to what it was. If he had gone to Alabama, who knows? Maybe he could have reinvented himself and the program, adapting his style to the magnitude of the job. Or maybe he would have floundered under the weight of expectations, like so many others before him. The fact is that college football is unforgiving. Coaches are celebrated today and discarded tomorrow. Swinney should have done what? Even after some time, the loss to Oklahoma exposed something Alabama had been trying to manage, but which on the previous Saturday ceased to be a detail and became a stark warning. Pass protection, especially from a backfield, is not meeting the standard that the Crimson Tide demands of itself. And when this type of failure appears against an opponent capable of consistently applying pressure, the punishment comes quickly. Ty Simpson spent the afternoon suffering, being tackled 4 times, and even losing the ball on one of those drives, an error that has become practically a recurring ghost in this final stretch of the season. Oklahoma brought more blitzes than any team had dared to attempt so far, and Alabama's running backs felt each collision as a reminder that their role goes far beyond carrying the ball. Jam Miller finished the game with a pass blocking rating of 23.1, a number that speaks for itself. Daniel Hill, on the other hand, became a negative highlight after being tackled by a considerably lighter defender. It's no exaggeration to say that the offensive rhythm broke down in a way that compromised the entire offensive buildup. This was the 5th consecutive game with a strip sack allowed, a worrying streak for any team, even more so for a program accustomed to competing at a very high level. While the running game has always been a hallmark of Alabama, quarterback protection now needs the same level of urgency in training, and the team itself recognizes this. Jam Miller didn't shy away from responsibility when speaking to the press on Tuesday. With a sincerity that speaks volumes about the culture established by Kalen DeBoer, the running back was direct. There's a lot to improve, and he takes responsibility for what happened in the last game. There's a clear sense of maturity when a player puts himself in this position, and that's usually the starting point for real change. Miller knows that the system depends on precise execution, and that when the running back misreads or misjudges the play, the entire play collapses. On the other side, Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, also adopted a discourse of collective responsibility. Instead of pointing out individual failures, he focused on the process itself. The question he asked internally is the one any elite coach should ask. Are we preparing our players correctly? Are we offering enough repetitions against linebackers that truly simulate the pressure we will face on Saturday? If not, something needs to change immediately. Grubb's analysis is pragmatic and human at the same time. He knows that reviewing video and demanding execution is easy. What's difficult is identifying what isn't being taught clearly enough. And he was transparent in admitting this. This stance, incidentally, is a hallmark of DeBoer's management, a culture of correction, not blame. According to him, the defense has already shown a willingness to intensify one-on-one drills if that's what the offense needs to raise its level of protection. The fact is that Alabama is facing a critical point in the season. The team knows exactly what's costing them possessions, field time, and, as we saw against Oklahoma, wins. It's not just about avoiding sacks, but about preventing a technical detail from compromising the entire offensive flow and exposing the quarterback to unnecessary risks. Simpson is too talented to lose rhythm due to immediate pressure, and the coaching staff perfectly understands the impact that every extra second in the pocket can have on play development. The urgency is now real. There's no room for repeating mistakes, not in November, not with the level of demand Alabama places on itself. If the Crimson Tide wants to remain a legitimate contender, it needs to transform this momentary weakness into fuel for improvement. The good news is that the diagnosis is clear, and both players and coaches have taken responsibility for correcting the problem. In large programs, this is always the first step toward a proper response. Alabama knows how to react. Recent history shows that. But to get back on track, it will be necessary to strengthen the invisible line that protects the quarterback, the one made by the running backs, by defensive adjustments in training, and by a culture that doesn't tolerate repeating mistakes. Now I want to see how that turns out. The name Caden Proctor is already echoing strongly in Tuscaloosa, and for good reason. The Alabama offensive lineman has just been named a finalist for the Lombardi Award, a recognition that crowns his impressive evolution within the Crimson Tide program. When we look at Proctor's consistent and dominant performance this season, it's clear that he not only deserves to be among the best, but has also become a key piece in the functioning of Alabama's offense. His trajectory so far is an example of dedication, talent, and direct impact on the team's results. Proctor has been much more than just a physical blocker on the offensive line. He has stood out for his ability to adapt his game to different situations, whether protecting the quarterback or opening up running lanes. So far in 2025, his 4 carries totaling 15 yards seem like modest numbers, but they reflect specific tactical moments where Proctor was called upon to act as a lead to create space for his teammates. His role goes beyond the numbers. He's a strategic piece that Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer masterfully uses to shape the team's offensive game. One of Proctor's most memorable moments this season was his performance against Georgia, a matchup that pitted Alabama against one of the strongest defenses in the country. While many expected the Crimson Tide to struggle to impose their rhythm, Proctor showed why he's considered one of the best defensive linemen in college football. He not only neutralized Georgia's pass rushers, but also helped establish an efficient running game, something that was essential to the Alabama offense's balance that day. Plays like this demonstrate that Proctor isn't just concerned with doing his job. He's committed to taking the entire unit to the next level. Proctor's nomination as a finalist for the Lombardi Award is a significant milestone for the player and the program. This award, which recognizes the best offensive or defensive lineman in college football, carries with it a rich and competitive tradition. Although still in his junior year of college, Proctor has already demonstrated enough maturity to compete with seasoned veterans and other stars of the sport. Many analysts project that he will be one of the first players selected in the 2026 draft, should he decide to declare himself. However, until that happens, Proctor remains focused on making his mark at Alabama, a team now entering a crucial phase of its season. Kalen DeBoer knows that to keep Alabama competitive in decisive games, he will need Proctor's leadership and strength on the offensive line. It's no exaggeration to say that the player's performance could be a determining factor in the team's success in upcoming matchups. Furthermore, there's something special about witnessing the rise of a player like Proctor. Since arriving at Alabama, he has shown an extraordinary commitment to personal and collective development. Each year has brought visible improvements, and now, in his junior season, he has reached a level that few can achieve. This reflects not only his natural talent, but also the environment created by the Alabama program, which values hard work and technical excellence. Proctor is the perfect example of how a player can grow under the right guidance, becoming an indispensable figure for his team. For Alabama fans, seeing Caden Proctor on the field is a source of pride. He represents everything the program seeks: talent, resilience, and dedication. His nomination as a Lombardi Award finalist is more than an individual achievement. It's a victory for the entire Crimson Tide, which sees in Proctor the embodiment of the competitive spirit that defines college football in Tuscaloosa. Now, as the team prepares for upcoming challenges, all eyes will be on Proctor, whose performance will continue to be crucial to Alabama's aspirations this season. I want to see your opinion now. Your opinion is important.